So, now that I've introduced this series as a whole, I wanted an excuse to show these last few bits of art I've done for this, so I've decided to add one more thing to this explosion of random content. Chapter Deep Dives! From that title alone, I think you can all guess that this is going to get a little spoilery, but have no fear. While I show you the speed paint of my art, I'm just going to be doing a little summary of the chapter itself before I go into discussing it in any detail. But I want to take this opportunity to really discuss these chapters I've made, talking about my thought process, inspirations, and why I made certain changes. I will also be calling upon some of the comments I got on these chapters that got me thinking even more. Don't worry, I won't show your name unless you give me permission. With all that said, let's do this. Because some things never change, Guy Hamden is blowing off helping Kelly unpack in favor of skateboarding with Maz. And Kelly, of course, drags him back inside for work. But while organizing the basement, the twins stumble upon a ring that seems to be made of a strange pink stone with a white S engraved in it. Kelly claims that the ring belongs to SheZow, and that, by extension, their Aunt Agnes must be SheZow. But Guy is unconvinced. He mocks her and puts on the ring himself, and in doing so, changes into SheZow. Soon after, they stumble upon SheZow's lair and meet Sheila, who explains to them that Guy must now take on this superhero mantle. He refuses, and in response, Sheila refuses to tell him how to change back. Guy sulks in the lair, trapped, until duty calls, and he finally wisens up enough to answer the call of justice. In the end, he reigns victorious and accepts the mantle of SheZow. Be that a bit begrudgingly. Okay, this is the part where everyone who hasn't read my fic might want to tune out, unless you don't plan on reading it or don't care about spoilers. Speaking of which, I did get a comment from someone who stated that they were intrigued by the story but didn't enjoy reading. Would anyone be interested in me creating basically an audiobook of my fic? It wouldn't be super professional, but it would make it a bit more accessible and widely enjoyable. Anyway, moving on. So, while I didn't lie about the slacking off part, this fic actually does start with Guy helping the unpacking as we see him carrying a box and directing a mover as to where to put stuff. The way the original started just made him seem like an aloof jerk, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to take a different angle for my Guy. In this story, the reason Guy ends up ditching unpacking duty is because of this really weird and uncomfortable feeling he's getting whenever he's near the house. And here we see Guy's core character trait. What does he do when he's uncomfortable? He runs the heck away. In the scene that follows, we get to see Maz's introduction, and more importantly, we see his dynamic with Guy. I love this scene because not only does it introduce the best character in this story, but we also start to see Guy's character at his best right at the start. While the boys are skateboarding, they routinely look out for each other, save each other from wiping out. Here we get to see their teamwork and Guy's proclivity for acts of heroism. Then, we also get to see his dysfunctional relationship with his sister as she interrupts their fun. Side note, I never thought that writing a dysfunctional relationship could be so fun. There is so much tension and aggravation, even in just a casual conversation, and I am loving it. Anyway, Kelly drags Guy back inside after Guy shoots down Maz's attempt to lend some assistance. And here we see another core issue of Guy's: refusal to accept help. We're organizing the house now, and that uncomfy feeling from before? That takes center stage. By this point, you might be getting the inkling that this feeling is not just normal uncomfiness, especially as we near towards the basement. Guy tries to get out of it, but Kelly accuses him of being scared and states that he used to love being down there, and this is the part where their strained relationship is really acknowledged for the first time. Oh, the tension. Oh, the angst. Kelly's hostility towards Guy and her reasons for doing so were so fun to write about. Like, her feelings are so valid, but she's also being such a douche about it. And Guy responds by being even more emotionally withdrawn, which aggravates the problem even more. Dysfunctional relationships, my beloved. So they organized the basement, and one big change that I loved adding was Guy taking Aunt Agnes's urn out of the box and being confused about what it was until Kelly shouted at him, "That's Aunt Agnes!" Like, that line was in the original show. What the hell? Oh, the show had a few gems. Anyways, Guy is horrified by this and goes, "What the hell? Why'd they just shove her in there next to some fucking plates?" Which is valid of him and much better characterization than him throwing her urn at the wall without a second thought. What the hell was with this show? Anyways, what's even better characterization, in my opinion, is the juicy fight they get into right after the fact that does, indeed, get physical. Now, I've never physically fought with anyone before, besides, Taekwondo sparring, but I really like this scene because it just goes to show how bad their relationship is right now. I can't stress enough just how much I love it, because you know what that leaves room for? Character development! Anywho, Kelly gets thrown into the wall, knocking free the panel and exposing the ring. And this is the part where it becomes glaringly clear that Guy's weird feeling is not natural, it's very much tied to the ring. Even more so when he puts it on and the feeling stops. If anyone hasn't already guessed it, this is a neat bit of foreshadowing. I think everyone already knows this, but Guy was always destined for the ring. Exactly why the ring chose Guy over Kelly, I am going to go into in a bit more detail in another video, but I loved scattering around these clues throughout the whole story. So Guy puts on the ring and Kelly laughs at him, which I felt was important to portray because it goes to show that Kelly isn't perfect herself. She's mad at Guy for putting his masculinity over showing emotion, but she'll still laugh at a boy wearing a dress. Those things might not seem intrinsically linked to you, but I think it's a neat detail. So Guy freaks out, screams, breaks the mirror, and now they're in the lair. Sheila was also a fun character to write about, and I don't think I've talked about her yet. One crucial aspect I've added was allowing her to show sadness over Agnes's death. Now, she isn't inconsolable, because she's been through this before, but she's allowed to show sadness. And we also show the tiny detail that while Guy might be emotionally repressed, he's actually pretty good at reading people. But that's also for another video. Sheila seems completely cool with the fact that Guy has the ring, and tries in vain to convince him to just accept it. When this fails, she then reveals that she won't tell him how to change back unless he agrees. Guy flips out and asks Kelly to tell him how to change back. She refuses, agreeing with Sheila that the world needs SheZow, and leaves him there. Sister of the year, ladies and gents. I'm kidding, I love Kelly. This little part of the chapter where Guy is stuck down there is one of my favorite parts because it gives us the opportunity to establish a relationship with Sheila herself. While down there, the two of them talk, she teaches him how to walk in heels, and they even play video games together. Side note, Aunt Agnes was a gamer. We also get another conversation with Maz over the phone, where Sheila shows that she's also very good at reading people. And a little hint that Guy putting on the ring wasn't an accident. Then the alarm goes off and Guy's on his way to kick butt. There's not a lot to say about this part. We see Guy's dad for the first time and show how he's going to be a bit of an obstacle in this series. I get the chance to showcase all of Guy's new powers, and then comes the part that solidifies him as a hero. All superheroes gotta save a little kid. It's the law. And we also get our first instance of Guy being willing to put aside his hang-ups for the benefit of others. The scene where he realizes how ludicrous it would be to tell a little boy not to cry at a time like this is really important. Especially as he just gives the little guy a hug and returns him back to his equally sobbing father. And as Guy is driving away, I cleared up a little plot hole that I didn't like in the original show. It made absolutely no sense to me that no one realized Guy was a different SheZow. I mean, he's shorter, and if everyone assumed they were the same person, why is it that the other SheZows we see in the Family Tree episode all have different costumes? I get that the uniform would have to change with the time, but then why didn't Guy's? Agnes's old outfit was a bit old school, if you ask me. That's why I gave Guy a completely new costume. It also hints at another fact. The ring built him that costume based on girly things that he liked. So, it just goes to show that Guy already likes girly clothes, he's just uncomfortable admitting that. Sorry, back to the plot hole issues. The new outfit combined with the obvious physical difference means that everyone already knows he's a different person. And that leads to a different dynamic with other civilians in the future. Guy goes back to the lair and Kelly was very worried about him. They hug, a little thing to show that things can and will eventually get better between them. After experiencing that fight, Guy gives in and accepts being SheZow and all is well. The final line is Kelly saying to him, "Wow, you're gonna make a great SheZow," after he guesses the words he needed to change back. I really liked that line, which is why I kept it from the original show, but originally it didn't make a lot of sense, as there were routine jokes about how Guy is kinda irresponsible and reckless as SheZow, so he's kinda undeserving of that sentiment. My Guy is actually gonna make a great SheZow, and that's where we leave off the chapter. As a lot of my commenters have said, this is a much more mature take on the series, and so far it's been met with a lot of praise. Which is why I feel compelled to go above and beyond for you guys with videos like this. I hope you enjoyed taking a deeper dive into this fic with me, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one for Chapter 2.